Hello and welcome to the League of Barons 2 Week 3. We have an exciting match for you tonight. We have Stephen Ford on the left versus his arch nemesis, Ryan Becker. Joining me tonight in the commentary booth, we have Charlie Hicks. How are you doing, Charlie?
Pretty good. Just got done with the old weekday grind and ready to watch some X-Wing. And of course, these guys have a big history between them, so it's going to be a really exciting match to watch.
Going to store championships and regionals with these two was hilarious because they'd always get matched up first or second round, and then the other one of them would win and the other would never recover, and it was a toss up either way. So tonight should be very exciting.
Absolutely, and it's a scum off too. It's almost like they were in each other's heads and they knew exactly where Thunderdome was going to be settled.
So Ryan specifically, pretty much exclusively plays Scum. I'm not sure that I've seen him play anything else across the table for me anyway. So Steven came into this just he knew that he was facing Scum. So we'll see if his choices are turn out to be a meta call in that regard, and whether or not that works out.
Yeah, we've got some interesting lists over here. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you see some of the staple pieces that Scum offers, but the way that they're being deployed is going to be really interesting.
So why don't you talk us through what Ryan has brought tonight?
All right, so Ryan has Boba Fett with Maul, Prox Mines, and Slave One. And then his wingmen are a couple of the Kimagilla fighters. So he's got Tarani Kolda with Crackshot, the Wrecked Droid, Contraband Cybernetics, and then a Cartel Executioner with Crackshot and Contraband Cybernetics. So basically, with that, I mean, with Slave One and Maul, you've got the efficiency and being able to kind of trim your maneuvers based on what your opponent has done. And then all of the weird interplay that happens with Tarani with the R5 TK droid, allowing you to perform attacks against enemy ships. Then contraband cybernetics, kind of letting them get around with those K turns and still be able to get their actions. Uh, I mean, pretty good. It's a lot of HP to deal with. Tarani just has really interesting uh, interactions in general. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a lot that he's going to be able to play around with that.
So interestingly, here we've got Boba, who's a known quantity, coming in at Initiative 5. He's got the Slave One title. But across the field here, we've got a pair of Scum Aces in Finn Rao and Old Tarok, each of them sporting Fearless as their only upgrade card. And then to further muddy the initiative waters, we have Torkel Mux with the Moldy Crow title. So that's two arcs out of which Torkel can say for the firing round, that one opposing ship is initiative 0.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, he's just going to go ahead and sink Boba Fett down to the bottom of the starting order just about every single time he gets the opportunity.
So going through and setting up the colors on the overlay here. But we've got the tank in Boba Fett, right? Like that's the main feature of Ryan's list. And instead of being and then he's got more beef out of the Kimagillas, whereas it's completely in the other direction, and we've got agility and token defense on with the Fangs, and then the Moldy Crow Hawk on Steven's side.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's one of those interesting matchups where it's strength against strength because Boba Fett definitely wants to be in the mix, getting in your face at range one. But these Fangs really want that too. So I mean, like everybody's going to kind of be vying for that up close and personal fight, and it's just going to be a matter of who's going to actually assert their dominance in that particular engagement.
So if you had to guess right now, you had to put money down. Which list are you going to back in this matchup?
Hmm. So I've got to say, in this situation, the Mux medical is really interesting, but I don't know if that much economy put into Mux in this particular situation is going to leverage, because usually you see Mux with a lot of extra guns to kind of maximize that uh, pilot skill change up. I don't know if that's necessarily going to buy him exactly what it might in other situations. I gotta feel that Becker's probably got the edge in this one.
Well, that validates my opinion because I was looking at it, and the main defense that Becker has is, I mean, he does have a lot of dice modification for Boba, but ultimately he's bringing a lot of health to the table, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
but he's also bringing a lot of toys that mitigate Steven's green dice defense on his fangs, because he's got the rear arc for Boba, which negates the Concordia face-off ability on the fangs. He's got the dead to rights ability on the bullseye arc for the Kimagillas that prevents the opponent from spending green tokens to affect defense dice. So there are these tools that if he manages to leverage, are really stand to give him an edge in this particular fight.
Absolutely. So it'll be really interesting. I mean, obviously, you build a list in the blind, expecting or at least anticipating a certain thing. And I mean, obviously, we've talked about it. Becker is his pedigree is scum. So you have a pretty good inkling that he's going to come from something in that comfort zone. But I mean, that's not narrowing it down all that much. So I mean, based off of that, I mean, having to run on that, I mean, Steven is probably not facing the list that he was expecting to face, but I mean, that's just X-Wing. I mean, you go ahead and you change your plan of attack and you modify it, and we'll see if he's able to turn the game in his favor.
Yeah. Showing up in the in-game chat, Steven is saying that the $1,000 chip signed to Torkel Mux is in fact his Initiative Zero token. So he's going to be throwing that that $1,000 chip around the board all game.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a fan of assigning some random bits of flotsam, especially because now that we've started playing a lot of TTS, you start pulling out of that toy chest like all these things that you don't normally use. Like up top, we've got the D12 that's uh, denoting our rounds, which is a much more elegant way to do so than I think we were doing like charge tokens, like a big line of them before.
Yep.
So it's pretty nice seeing exactly what you can do with an unlimited toy chest of free tokens. Looks like we're getting pretty close to kicking it off.
So here we have an interesting arrangement. We've got the two Kimagillas set up to joust Torkel, but Torkel's by himself, so he isn't too happy about that. Especially with Boba set up in a position where he can easily come up and give assistance to just burn Torkel to the ground. Which, if Steven doesn't bring the Fangs in fast enough to punish that decision, would be a big boon for Ryan earlier in the game.
Right. I mean, you've got to imagine that Steven's probably trying to draw the engagement into this cluster right here, just towards the middle. So probably we'll look at like a too hard with Torkel, just to kind of see if they'll give chase. But yeah, I mean, like if Boba sniffs that out and puts on the jets and hits that boost and everything, I mean, you could have turn two engagement. That's not a ridiculous supposition. Okay, so we see the two. I didn't think that was fooling anybody. So
He doesn't actually want to be here.
yeah,
linking into the rotate action so that his arc is now pointed in the correct direction to encounter the aggressive medium base ships coming up.
It's about as aggressive as you would probably play that with those Kimagilos, because I mean those medium bases are going to chew up a lot of space. You don't want to get too greedy with that.
Well,
So I mean
can
that
can
does
they
give him
even go
leverage.
faster than that? Let's see.
I
Uh,
think it's a
bring it
red
up.
four.
Nope, they don't even have anything faster than that.
Do
They
they not have a four?
they don't have a four.
It shows you exactly how many times I've played a Kimigila, guys.
But yeah, so you see here Boba not really committing to coming up this channel on the top side of the two clouds,
Yeah,
and you kind of using his arc to threaten the easy approach of the Fangs.
absolutely.
Now, one big factor here that is potentially um, highly in Steven's favor is the fact that Steven's list has a 6 point bid and Ryan's has a 1 point bid. So he was able to pass off first player to Ryan, meaning that Boba has to make all of his movement decisions before either ace reveals their maneuver.
Yep, just basically junking that Slave One title immediately.
Yep.
So I mean that
So,
happens.
so here we have a bump. Unless he was planning to do a bunch of repositioning, that shouldn't really impact much this
Yeah,
early in the
he's
game.
got the he's basically got the pick of the litter between either of these channels, whether he wants to pursue behind, which probably I would say he doesn't. So we're probably going to see them try to commit like a too hard over here to kind of thread this channel. But he's got options there, so that's not. Uh, he's doing exactly what you want to do with these high initiative fragile ships, and that's not to overplay your hand.
Yeah. No, he's definitely approaching this. Given the setup, he's approaching it the right way. He's trying to make sure that he's bringing in his aces kind of perpendicular to the opposing line, right, so that he doesn't encounter all of the enemies at the same time. He's pulling the opposing beef through the clouds by turning Torkel Mux, and I assume he's going to burn hard with Torkel this next turn.
Yeah, he's got the engine upgrade too, so he can just go ahead and fully charge Moldy Crow and take the boost. He can have his cake and eat it too. He paid the points to do it.
Yeah, so let's take an extra second look at Torkel here. You know, he's got in addition to the Moldy Crow title and the engine upgrade, he's also sporting contraband cybernetics. So he has the opportunity to take a stop action if he wants to, or stop maneuver rather, and
Mhm.
continue to take actions that turn, or even do it while stressed once during the game. And then L337 here is a pretty major defensive upgrade, allowing you to flip the card to re-roll attacking dice once per game.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to be able to pull that handbrake when you need it. I mean, this it's an interesting build. I admit when I first saw it, and especially looking at how much of a bid that he was carrying, they seem to be almost working at cross purposes. But I mean, I can understand definitely wanting to make sure that you have the maneuvering advantage, um, even with the default understanding of what Torkel is going to do for you. So, like I said, I it's not something that I've encountered before. It is an interesting take. We'll see how well it pays off for him.
Well, historically speaking, you know, this is a list archetype that is as old as second edition, but in that Hawk slot, you had Paylob
Right,
originally instead of Torkel to assist with stripping tokens from enemies and you know, either making them vulnerable to the Fang attacks or you know reducing their potency and allowing the Fangs to live longer. So you have
right.
something
But
similar going here with Torkel and his manipulation of firing order, but it's not quite the same.
yeah, I mean the problem that you run into with that is, I mean, obviously, Stephen has the foreknowledge that he's probably going to get a look that involves Scum with Becker, and Scum 9 times out of 10 means Boba Fett. And unfortunately, Boba Fett doesn't particularly care about Palob's ability. So this is this is an interesting move.
So, unfortunately for Steven, that could just be barely range 2. And there's no
Mm.
way a boost gets you into range 1. So, best case for Steven here is that he's sitting at range 3 and gets that extra green and just takes the focus, I would
Mm.
think.
Well, that let me see. That could be a puncher's chance at being at 3. I don't know if I'd put dollars on it, but
Well, if
mm,
you want to make sure it's 3, then you roll out, right? And then you link into the focus.
yeah. I mean that doesn't really hurt your situation any at all. So
Looks like he's contemplating the boost in,
mm, it's like
allowing
a
his.
Obi-Wan Revenge of the Sith. Don't try it. Don't try it.
Oh,
Oh, you underestimate my power.
looks like he was reaching for that range 1, trying to push his front
Shit.
corner in as much as possible. I don't think he got it.
I don't think so. No. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of this this move in. I mean, I can understand why, but this is going to potentially be problematic next turn.
Yeah, so it's going to require. I don't know. The two bank might actually not clip that debris. So
Oh, I'm
he's
not I'm not particularly concerned about that. It's just that Becker knows exactly where he's going to be this time.
yeah. Well, taking a look at Tarok's ability, start of engagement phase, you may choose one enemy ship at range 1. If you do and you're in its front arc, it removes all of its green tokens. So Tarok would have benefited greatly from reaching that range 1. It just wasn't. The range wasn't there.
So range 3 shot coming in. Now the good news is that Boba doesn't get any of his mitigation. Ooh, yeah, that's unfortunate. But he does have to spend for that, so and take the force.
So here we see Boba with the return shot. Um, doesn't get
Okay.
his rerolls because the range is 2 and spins for 2 hits going into Old Tarok
Perfectly average. And he'll spend that, of course.
to take no damage and be very happy with the exchange.
Oh yeah.
So the next attack will come from Tarok, who has had to spend his token on defense.
Yeah, but the weight of 3 red dice to without Boba's modification, you can't be too mad at that. It'll possibly a consolation prize. 2 hits? Yeah, we'll see.
Mm,
Oh, it
rolled
is a range
three
3. My bad.
greens.
Judge?
Why?
Okay, he seems to have realized his folly.
Yep.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, sad.
Takes 2 shields on Boba.
All right. So that's an early little bit of leverage that Steven can put in his back pocket.
It's a nice little bit, but there's still a long way to go. There's a lot of health to chew through
Oh
here.
yeah, absolutely. So the other concerning bit about this, assuming that we call it as we see it, where old T takes the two bank to clear his stress and also not to hit the debris. Uh, you've got Tarani basically that's going to be coming in with a one bank almost assuredly,
Yeah.
and is just going to dumpster all over that. So that's a problem.
So it seems like both both Boba and Tirani are in a great position to just set up a kill box for old T on this following turn, and there's just not a whole lot that Steven can do about it.
Right. The question is, what are you going to do with Fen Rao to punish him for this? And I mean, you could take a too hard to the left around this debris and then boost in, expecting that Boba is probably going to take this bank closer towards Torkel.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but he may not do that. That's the thing. Like he may actually commit in the other direction.
Yeah. So the best thing, if it would fit, I think, would be to do the two bank directly at the debris and then barrel roll around it in the appropriate direction depending on where Boba goes.
That probably does fit. Yes.
So if that fits, then I think that's the move to do to try to account for either direction Boba might go to try to land arc on Terok. But the thing is, Boba doesn't really want to turn down toward the rock in the corner because then he's going to be exposing his flank to a range one shot from Finn, who's currently pointed in that direction.
Yeah. Uh, Somebody else mentioned potential for a too hard from old T, which I mean that is a possibility, and it probably helps safeguard any problems dealing with Tirani. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean he's not in a great spot. His two options are the two bank right or the two hard right,
Hmm.
and unless he just wants to blow over the debris. Um, so then probably followed up with a boost to gain a little bit of range and then a focus.
Hmm.
But either
So
way,
probably
he's not really going to have any opportunity to contribute offensively this round.
right.
If he could take the five straight here, which I mean he's stressed, so the fastest he can go and de-stress is a three.
Hmm.
But if he could be aggressive here and try to close ranks with the Kimagillas at the other end, it's risky, but that would be the way to keep him in the fight this round.
Absolutely.
So here we see Torkel deciding that he's finished running, coming in to intercept Boba. Cartel Executioner coming up the flank with Tarani coming in the middle.
You know, the two bank might actually be too much mustard on the hot dog. We'll see.
Yeah, that potentially gives old Tarek a way out. Oh, here we go. Boba coming in for the block instead
Hmm.
of trying to line up a shot. Blocking that too hard and maybe even the two bank.
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. Yep, them out. And I think Eclipse. Yep, he
Oh,
does.
blocks him onto the debris.
Oof. Worst of all worlds. Oh man. No crit. Yeah, that's you're gonna have a bad time when you have no token and you're fighting Tirani. However, I don't think Finn particularly wants to deal with this level of spice that he's about to catch.
Right. So that assuming that that's in range, which I think
Or
it
Boba, I should
is,
say. Oh yeah.
then Tirani actually has both aces in bullseye,
Oh, sure does.
which is a really, really unfortunate position for Steven.
Hmm.
Looks like he's taking the time to read Tirani at this point to decide just how just how badly this hurts him if he stays there.
Because you could barrel roll out, but then you risk the possibility of catching hands from Boba in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Yeah. Ugh, not great. Not great.
So this is exactly the kind of situation we were talking about at the beginning of the match, where Ryan's tools that circumvent the sort of defenses that the Fangs have are coming into play.
They are definitely. He probably does have the room for one forward boost. I don't know if that actually buys him anything, to be perfectly honest. Let me just get right on top of that and see. No, I think he'd still be in bullseye with that boost. Trying to figure out.
Be a near thing. He would boost into Finn's arc, which wouldn't be the worst
Hmm.
thing. He would get Concordia face off. He'd actually gain a lot of offense out of Fearless.
Right.
Tirani has been dropped to an initiative 0 for this round, thanks to
Yeah,
Torkel,
that's definitely the good play.
giving Finrao an opportunity. Well, I mean, he was already going to fire first, but
Oh yeah.
so range 1 out of Finn into Boba Fett, 5 dice into 2 with all the re-rolls on Boba's side.
Yep.
But the most he can block
But
is
also
2.
Fearless is on the board.
Fearless is not on the
Oh,
board.
is it not?
No, because Fearless requires. Um,
Nah, he's got to be an arc. You're right.
yeah. So
Yeah,
with only one blank showing and no focus to.
that's a pretty good roll.
Yeah. 3 hits and a crit. Only 2 can be blocked. Using the Boba reroll on the blank for 2 evades. So that's 2 more shields off of Boba.
Which, I mean, two shields. Oh, we're just gonna flip the whole thing down. Um, no, I mean, one more point on him. That's half. That's a whole lot.
Yeah, it's leaving Boba to the end game is really really dangerous because
Mhm.
you may not have enough at that point to ever take him down, no matter how much time you have left.
Absolutely.
So if you can nab him early, then the earlier you get him, the better.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like they're gearing up for Boba taking the range 3 shot on Torkel.
Looks
Rolls a
like the
focus and a
machine god
crit.
says, yeah, it's okay. It's a good roll.
There was a mechanical motion changing a focus to a hit, but he goes ahead and spends the force to legitimize it. For
He'll make
two,
it legal.
for 2 and a crit coming in on Torgal. Deciding what to do about L337, which the window for that is already passed as Boba used his mods. So it looks like they're taking that out of order and forcing a reroll on all 3. This, if they do that, I will interfere because that is not right. Yeah, so
Joel will make it illegal.
L337 is a modification. You know, you are making your opponent reroll. So
Mhm.
that goes in the defender mods attack dice step, which is before attacker mods attack dice step. So that would be before Boba Fett's ability is applied, before the force token is applied. And it would also importantly prevent any further rerolling on the dice that get rerolled. So it's actually doubly potent versus something like Boba Fett or an attack with a target lock that has a lot of.
It's like we're sorting this out via
Yep,
chat.
yep.
And if you hear me yell at somebody, it's not at Joel. He's doing a great job. My cat is under my desk, on her worst possible behavior. So,
All right, so they let it stand at 2 hits and a crit. Roll 3 greens with Torkoal. After a focus spin, netting 2 evades, so 1 shield drop on Torkoal.
all right.
Range 2 shot out of Tarok onto Tirani.
I think he's particularly happy about that one, but we'll see.
Coming in at 2 hits.
2 is better than nothing.
Well, guaranteed some damage. So 1 evade rolled.
Yep.
And 1 shield down.
So next we've got the Cartel Executioner. Probably going to take a bite out of Torkoal over here.
Yeah. That obstruction plus the range on old Tarok, as juicy as it would be, makes it unlikely to actually land anything.
3 hits is pretty juicy. Does he do it though? Does he flip it? Oh, he does.
All right. So he's telling him to re-roll the lot.
Oh, that feels low.
And it's
Would
worse.
make it worse. Oh man, that's a gamble I'm not willing to pay points for.
Well, it's really best versus targets that have re-rolls natively.
Yeah, right on.
So in this case, I mean, the odds were good that he was going to force at least 1 blank, but it didn't work out. Rolls 2 eyeballs on defense, but it's a moldy crow. It's got eyeballs for days.
Oh yeah.
So that is his second shield gone.
The day is over. So we got a question in the chat if we'll do a podcast episode when new points come out.
That is, I'm not going to say that it's absolutely going to happen, but it's pretty likely.
Certainly, maybe is the answer. All right, so let's see who we're going for. You got to think he's probably taken the. Oh, did we already miss it?
Yeah,
We
so
already missed it.
Torkoal fired
Great.
at Boba, got only 1 eye on 3 dice, and called it good.
Ah, that was the right shot to take.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you take that 100%.
So Torkoal fires, gets a hit crit, coming into Tarok probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, only rolling 3 greens in defense, so definitely on Tarok.
Oh god, disgusting.
Blocks 1.
He's gonna crack that.
Yep.
Devastating.
So that's a hit crit on Tarok plus Tirani's ability.
Oh yeah.
The crit is direct hit, so that's going to be a dead Tarok.
Just out the box immediately.
You know what I have not been doing? Keeping track of
Updating the
damage.
overlay.
That is what I've not been doing.
Yeah, they even mentioned it in the chat, and I'm just breezing right on. Good job, chat. Even a machine god can bleed, so
all right.
we're gonna keep them on past it.
So now that the overlay is updated, much blood was shed.
Oh yeah. Wow, that is a devastating loss over there. So now I will say that Tarok's odds in that follow up, if he survived that, which it wasn't looking particularly good to begin with, but I mean, you got to imagine that Boba is just living to drop a prox in his face. I mean, he's probably dropping it again this time to just to threaten Torkoal. I mean, you might argue that having Tirani in the way might change the calculus of that, but I mean, yeah, he's got plenty of opportunity to gum up the works here. But I mean, Ryan is definitely in the driver's seat. His Kimagillas are not at all scared of the Torkoal threat. Boba is about to get behind Fenrir more than likely. And so yeah, it's just a he had a shot. And now it's kind of the momentum's start to shift. So Steven's really going to need to start thinking carefully about how he wants to deploy Fenrir in this situation.
Hmm. Now we still got plenty of game left in terms of time. We're currently
Oh,
sitting
absolutely.
in round 4. So if Steven can figure out a way to survive the next couple of turns, he's got the time that he needs to bring it back.
So I will say one thing, and again, this does get impacted by if he smells him out with Boba. But if Torkel can get in here and gum up the works and uh, possibly get a block over here on Tarani, then that's that's something. I don't know to what degree we might be dealing with. I mean, also following up, just kind of catching Tarani broadsides. It's not a terrible thing,
Mm.
but yeah, like Finn is in a very high risk, high reward situation. Like he could just call this out, uh, slip Boba. Boba's probably off the market for him, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah, because Boba can easily take a hard turn into where where Finn's sitting now, or even a one bank and just sit right next to this rock, and then have his
yeah,
rear arc facing everywhere that Finn wants to be. And if Finn doesn't spend a reposition to get away from him, be in a perfect position to drop a prox mine on him the following turn.
yeah.
So I think that it's certainly more likely that he's going to wait and use a Talon roll on the following turn and try to set up some sort of a close range rear arc shot this round.
So you think probably looking at a one hard left.
One hard, no, I think Boba's going to go right here, and either a one bank or a one hard, probably a one bank.
Okay.
That way he kind of slips inside Finrau's turning radius, so there's no way that Finrau gets to shoot at him unless he does a red maneuver.
Hmm.
And then he's also, and in addition to that, he's potentially setting up a prox mine kill on Fen. Really,
And you're probably going to see the executioner just abandon caution to the wind. Just go ahead and take the cloud. And just get your guns on.
mm-hmm.
There's no
Yeah.
reason not to at
If
this
he
point.
can follow through on his momentum and do the whole 1-2 punch and take out Finn in the second round, right after taking out Terok, then that's going to be pretty much. I mean, that's just game over at that point.
Yeah, that's a devastating loss if that happens. So yeah, this is going to be a really pivotal round. We can't stress that enough. What Fen does to leverage against multiple very grave threats. Uh, we'll see.
So what I'm going to take a second here. What is this? In the in-game chat, there appears to be a dice statistics readout.
Oh yeah. So wow,
Is
did
that
we turn that on?
what triggered this? I wonder. I'm gonna have
I
to I'm
thought
gonna
that
have
was
to
something that you
look
did.
at the I'm gonna have to look at
Yeah.
the patch notes and see how you activate that, because it looks it's showing the
Apparently,
total rolled by each player, and then what the expected results are and how closely it matches. So that's very interesting.
oh, okay. Okay. So we've got the bump over here.
Yeah, so that preserves Torkel. He's going to be basically just outside of the engagement zone.
Yeah. But you can still shut him down if need be, so there's the thing.
Yeah,
So yeah.
he's got that arc pointed to the right now. It's going to bathe the entire combat zone in
Oh yeah.
initiative zeroness. Oh, here we go. You were right. It's a hard turn, one hard to the left,
Yeah, I
but he may
it's
be deciding to flip it. Oh,
here we go.
was I wrong? No, it's the dial that didn't know what it was doing.
Mm.
I still don't like that as much as a one bank. Um, but it should get the job done.
Yeah.
And
Take
if
the
his
target
goal
lock.
is to try to trap Finn Rao in that bullseye again, then this is how you do it.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh,
Yipe, yipe, yipe. Out.
yeah. Steven sees the trap coming and says no. So the only shot that he's going to be facing this turn is going to be a range 3 from Boba. And he's got a focus token, so hopefully he'll be able to weather it. Boba will have a lock and a force, but 3v4 odds are decent.
Hmm.
Looking at the shot. Oh, no. Looking at making Boba a 0.
For reasons.
That is the $1,000 token right there.
Hmm.
So that means Torkel is actually going to be the first to fire.
Who's the ace now? So
So
probably hucking at Boba just to make him cough up the rock, you would think.
I would think. Deciding whether or not to spend his focus or keep it. We're going to spend for 2 hits.
Yeah, you are. The
Rolling
potential.
3, so that's going to be Boba, yeah. Yep.
There we
Yep.
go. Yeah,
Making
you
him
don't want to give up
spend.
half points. Uh-huh. That's a good choice.
Yeah, so it forces Ryan to spend to preserve half points, thus reducing the accuracy of his return fire on Fen Rao. Narrowly grabbing that range 3 band.
Hmm.
Fen Rao isn't out of the woods yet, but it's looking better. Boba going to go ahead and spend that lock to reroll the 2 focus results. Coming up with
Ugh,
3 hits. Who needs the force?
man. Sometimes you just rather be good.
Um,
Not enough.
oof. And Fen Rao to take 1 hit in spite of it all.
Feels rough to just kind of lift heaven and earth and still just come up slightly short.
Yeah. Yeah, the fangs aren't a runaway kind of ace. If you can figure out some way to keep them in the fight, it's usually better. Now in this case, he's hamstrung by the tools that Ryan's brought,
Hmm.
and I feel like he made the right call for the turn. Um, but
Yeah.
it's not the tool set that they have.
So this will be a prime time for me to ask since I'm just definitely demonstrating my ignorance. What are the red moves on those Kimagillas aside from the 4K?
So the red moves on the Kimagillas, they have 1 hards in addition to the 4K. That's the red that's on that dial.
Okay.
So we could potentially see a 4K here out of the yellow one, but I don't think that Tarani clears on a 4K. And then
No, I don't think so. But I think probably with Cartel Executioner, I think you just take the too hard and accept it, accepting that Finral is probably going to come in for a too hard as well.
yeah,
Um,
no, Finn's definitely in a much better position now. He can start to try to press in for another close ranged engagement.
yeah. So this is probably just the round that there's a little repositioning. I mean, I don't think Ryan's going to be calling any shots, so Tarani might pick up a target lock and set up for a 4K next turn. Uh, but probably not a whole lot happening in that front. You're probably going to see just a maneuver and a boost with Boba just reposition to get back in the game.
Now, Torkel, on the other hand, he's got that 2 die gun, right? Which is,
Mhm.
yeah, not terribly useful, but he's Steven needs to be reaching for every source of damage that he can at this point because
Absolutely.
he's got still a lot of health to go through to make up the points that he's lost, which has only been 59 points, right? So that's not that bad. If you half Boba, let's
Mhm.
see, half of Boba is 52. So all you have to do is half Boba and then half something else, and you're in a winning position, assuming you don't lose any more points. So it's
Yep.
not as though this is an absolutely losing situation for Steven.
Oh no. And the great thing, I mean, if he's taking shots into these Kimagillas, I mean, they'll stick.
Yeah.
So like this does give you a chance to have a little bit of offense in garbage time. You've just got to take that and then kind of work with it.
Let's see. And to remind everybody, we are currently on round 5 out of 12. So there is a lot of time for jostling left in the game.
Absolutely.
So here we have 4K on the Cartel Executioner.
Ooh.
Pops Contraband Cybernetics, lands on the debris field for 2 stress. Don't see rolls, gets nothing,
Nothing.
no crit, and picks up a focus.
I mean, all told, pretty good.
Mm, looks like
Considering his
they're
actions over here.
discussing something.
What is he rolling for?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Nothing on Contraband Cybernetics requires that. Oh, he also ran over the gas cloud, is what they're saying. So he rolled and received a strain as well.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Okay.
So yeah, like you said, Tarani just setting up for future turns, goes ahead and grabs a lock. 4K out of Boba, setting up for a return pass. And too hard out of Fen. If he decides to boost in, he'll probably end up in arc of the executioner. So I think a barrel roll in with a focus is probably the better call if you're looking to
I
reposition.
agree. Yep.
And Steven
Yep.
agrees. Keeping a hold of his stress for next turn.
Absolutely.
Looking to see who he can give away his $1,000 chip to. And he can do it to whomever he pleases, unless what he wanted was Boba. So, giving it to the only gun that matters, Cartel Executioner. Or perhaps not. He's giving it to the gun that doesn't matter, Trani Golda. So
Oh, he's probably splitting the situation.
just out of range 2 from Fen to the Cartel Executioner. Hit focus. No reason not to spend this round
Yeah.
for 2. And at range 3, the Executioner could actually dodge both of these.
That'd feel bad.
Rolls
Didn't
only
realize he's
1.
in range 3.
It's a range 3 shot. Let's see. There we go. Thanks.
Yeah. I like this easier. It's easier to do this than to jump in the chat.
Yeah.
Assuming that they read my chat.
Oh, strain. He had a strain.
Up.
And that's why communication with your opponent is thank you. That's why communication with your opponent is absolutely crucial to make sure that you're both aware of what's going on. So here we
Indeed.
have obstructed through the gas cloud into Torkel range 3, who has a focus. The focus on the attacker side was already spent in his own defense. Or was it?
I believe so.
Here we have 2
Oh,
hits blocked by 4 evades once the cloud has its say for no damage onto Torkel.
take that, dead to rights.
Now Torkel gets to fire out of his turret arc. Trying to decide which target he wants to go after. Looks like he wiggled his cursor on Tirani, so 2 attack dice into 2 defense dice there. For a single focus, is it worth spending the token? Oh, right, of course. The Cartel Executioner wouldn't have had the focus because he clipped the cloud.
Yep. That charge for nothing.
Yep. So spends the focus, gets 1 hit. Tirani rolls a single evade for no damage.
Feels bad.
So looking at the ship health totals going into, what are we, going into round 6 now, I believe?
Yep.
We've got shields down on the Cartel Executioner and Boba Fett, but no hull damage has been applied there at all. Torkel is 1 away from giving up half. Fen is 1 away from giving up half. So Steven is still definitely behind the 8 ball on this, but the next couple of rounds will show what direction it's going to flip, I think.
So probably in this situation, we're looking at a 4K for Tarani. It's free real estate. It also definitely intimidates the 2 hard coming in that Finn is probably wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially if we're thinking about that, Boba is probably going to try to inhabit this area to make that boost as painful as humanly possible.
Yeah,
So,
Boba's just going to come on up. I think his fastest blue is a 3 straight.
mhm.
Yeah, 3 straight. So we're probably going to might see a 2 straight into a boost, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
Because if
And then,
he occupies the space like right in the middle, because he could potentially block Fenrau into Tirani's bullseye if Tirani does a 4K.
yeah,
Which we've got this asteroid here, and there's the 4K trick with asteroids, right? If you've got a small base ship that does not extend past the outer edge of the asteroid, then you know a 4K will fit, because the 4 template plus the length of the base is exactly range 2, right? Which is at least how far the rock has to be from the edge of the board. Now, this is a larger base size, but it's just a medium-sized base, and he is completely behind the entirety of the rock, so a 4K we know will fit.
yep. Expecting that cloud to put the guns on.
Yep. Looking at no strain this time. But he is easily in a position where he could go ahead and just knock that 1 more hit into Torkel that he needs for points. 4K coming in for Tirani, who elects not to use contraband. 3 straight for
Probably
Boba.
here against the boost.
Oh, takes the focus. Decides he's good where he
Ooh.
is.
Probably, yeah.
Too hard here. Looks like the boost, the straight boost, would probably take him clear over the danger zone of Tirani's bullseye and would nab
Yeah.
him range 1 nose to nose with Boba, which is, is risky. But I think he stands to gain a lot more than he stands to lose there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can see him like, will he or won't he? Will he or won't he?
Yep, there it is.
There it is.
All right,
Yep.
so let's take a look at that bullseye calculus. And yep, he definitely jumps straight over the bullseye. Nothing to worry about there. Just a regular, probably range 3 shot from Tirani. Might be range 2. I think it's
And
3, though.
more importantly, both Fearless and uh, the other one.
Yep, all the
There.
abilities that matter are on. Finn Rao's ability is on, Concordia Face Off is on, and Fearless is on.
Yep. And while Boba does get his reroll, it is just a reroll. So looks
So
like
so it is
Ronnie has
possible.
picked his winner.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Torkel handing off his $1,000 once again to the cartel executioner. Um, it's possible that Finn just deletes Boba in this shot. Like that's not likely, but it is a thing that could happen. If Boba's greens just refuse to cooperate and Finn gets some crits in there.
Yeah, that would have to be an impressive crit chain shouting against the world.
Okay, interesting. It looks like Torkel has elected not
Oh no.
to change anything. Poor roll on the attack from Fenn, even after Fearless,
Probably just
only
hang
2
on to
hits. And
it. Ooh,
this is not the time to spend the focus.
no. Oh no.
2
Oh.
evades showing on Boba Fett, as you would expect with his
Oh.
level of modification, just shrugging it off.
I mean, that's the shot you take. I mean, that sometimes it just doesn't go that way. That's unfortunate.
Boba firing back range 1 only gets the single reroll, so that's only 3 hits maximum here, which he gets.
Yep.
So 4 greens for Fenn Rao. Even with the 1 from Concordia Face Off, still takes a damage,
Now he's at half.
giving up half points.
Mm.
Moving the goalposts ever further. Tirani showing some really weird rendering bug, but it is a range 3 shot into Fenn.
Yep. Every once in a while, TTS will just throw you for a loop.
Only 1 hit, but he does have a banked lock, which he spends to reroll the 2 blanks into 2 more blanks. He was entitled to an extra green die there, but it doesn't matter because he evaded anyway.
Yep.
Range 2 from the Cartel Executioner into Torkel Mux. This is where we could see Steven's last ship getting halved. Coming in with a hit crit. Can be blocked, but it is not.
Did he elect not to Torkel the
He did elect not
executioner?
to
I guess
Torkel
not.
the Executioner. The crit is Blinded Pilot, so no
Mm.
modifications for Torkel on the attack.
Well, he's still in the game, but yeah, the just the gravity of everything is just starting to weigh down.
So he's got the range 2 turret arc, mobile arc shot into the executioner. Single hit. And it is not blocked, so that is 1 more damage into the executioner.
Yep.
But he still lacks, let's see, they're 9 HP total. So he still has to do 2 more damage to the executioner for points. Still has to do 3 more damage to Tirani for points, but 1 more damage on Boba will net points. Just makes you so sad for that 5 dice range 1 with Fearless Finrao shot netting nothing. So on this round, you've got the ever-present threat of Boba Fett just leaving a proximity mine behind him to cut off that avenue of escape for Fen Rao. But so Fen needs to continue to fight. Like, he can't just leave himself in people's arcs and not be trading shots. But being stressed, his only options are the 2 hards, 2 banks, 2 straight, and 3 straight. Cartel Executioner is pretty happy with how things are going. He unfortunately did spend his contraband cybernetics charge previously, and so his only option is to pick and take the 1 straight towards where Torkel is, or the 1 bank towards where Torkel might be if Torkel goes really fast.
Yeah, I think Torkel probably in this situation is just content to probably block him off and try to mitigate the number of shots coming into him, because he's now having to worry about his own problems.
Yeah.
But the only problem with that, I mean, Tirani's not a particularly great spot to threaten Finn this turn, but he can threaten the heck out of Torkel in this situation.
Yeah. Now, looking at, assuming that the Executioner wants to get an action, if we look at that dial again, then the only way he's changing his arc is with that 2 bank. That's the only blue bank that he's got. So that would put him way out of being able to threaten any maneuver that Torkel makes.
Yep. All right. So it looks like we're going to get the Prox Mine. Not a huge secret. Just got to keep him on.
So I think even that 2 bank may not clip the mine in this current situation. So we do have Torkel coming out here. So maybe the 2 bank actually will catch Torkel. But if Torkel if Torkel goes ahead and takes the boost here, yeah. So he takes the boost. Right. So that 2 bank out of the Cartel Executioner will probably net him a range 1 shot right into Torkel, and Torkel won't have arc on him.
Oh, or not.
But he chose the short option, and that was kind of a coin flip, which way you thought he would go.
Yeah.
On that.
Setting up for the next turn.
Torkel completely slipping the noose on this kill box here.
Oh, yeah.
Both Keemagillies taking the opportunity to set up a lock for future reference.
Ooh.
So that 3 bank, let's take a look at the arcs as they sit. Looks like that fast maneuver with a boost on Torkel's part completely slipped all arcs. We could potentially see a boost out of Boba here to just nab Torkel's back corner, but that would get all up in the way of his other ship's positioning. Oh, here we go. He went
All
for
right.
it. Check those arcs. I think Torkel is still safe,
Uh,
just by a hair.
let me get right on top of it. I think you're right.
So very well played to Steven, keeping Torkel out of harm's way for this round.
I think Boba has decided to become tribute. Oh, very nice. Clear that stress. Set up for a much better turn this round.
I think the answer here is just go ahead and probably boost to the right and not take a focus.
Yeah, just keep your dial wide open. Absolutely. I
Ooh,
mean,
takes the focus.
I mean, you're probably taking it too hard, anyways. It's
I mean,
fine,
that,
I
I mean that's
guess.
that's true, but
Just in case, like I guess to keep Boba honest, because I don't think that he's got a range 3 shot, but yeah, not even close. So,
so Torkel nerfing Boba down to 0. Finn won't have a shot. Tirani won't have a shot, so then it'll be down to the Cartel Executioner who won't have a shot, and then Torkel will actually be the first to fire.
ace of aces.
The question is which one he goes after. He's more likely to stick damage into Kolda, but he gets more points for less damage on Boba. Both are range 1
Hmm.
shots out of a 2-die gun with a single focus mod.
Go after Boba. Do it.
Spends the focus for 2 hits. Or does he? He does. Spends the focus for 2 hits.
Yep.
Looks like Ryan is getting ready to roll 2 greens.
Yep.
Oh, Steven walks it back. Decides not to spend the focus. Only a single hit. Coming in on Boba, who can spin the force to call it good. Oh, remembers the crit that's sitting on Torkel. Blinded Pilot couldn't have spent that focus. Boba spending the force to not take any damage. Has no valid shots. That was actually a lot closer than I thought. I thought Finn would be a good half range band out of range 3.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate catching the blinded pilot like that.
Now, Blinded Pilot, you can use an action to repair it, but with everyone breathing down Torkel's neck this turn, the boost was definitely the right call.
Yeah. So the only problem is the best arrow in Torkel's quiver right now is to mash that handbrake and do a stop, and I think that's not going to do him any favors whatsoever.
So the Cartel Executioner has used his contraband cybernetics. So if he wants an action where he's looking at, I don't know that there's a turn maneuver he can do that gets him an action because of Boba's position. I
No.
think, I think the 2 would run into
You-
Boba. The 1 is stressful.
yeah.
But
So
as
he's,
soon
he's probably going to just go ahead and hammer that one hard just to make sure his gun trims as far in as possible.
then Tirani,
Goes hunting Finn.
yeah, maybe 2 hard, 1 bank. You're really trying to get that bullseye on, but I'm not sure that there's a really good way to do it.
Um, so if he does the one bank, I don't think there's any way for Finn to trim that down to a range 1.
You don't think so? Like the two hard into a bank 1 boost, like I think that gets you even with the city center over here.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm gonna say no, just so I can be proven wrong.
Now, it's also important to note that Tirani moves before Boba. Boba being in the middle of everything does make positioning more difficult with the lower initiative medium base ships.
It'll still clear. That's fine.
With the one bank?
Yeah, it'll clear.
Okay. So here we are, too hard, just trying to get the arc around, hoping to live.
Clear the blinded pilot. Maybe.
No,
Yeah.
he's coming on around.
Right.
Yep. Good call on the one hard. Still bumps.
Let's see if
And
that gets
oh
notes.
yeah, he gets Torkoal for days.
He's still gonna get shot.
Too hard coming out of Tirani.
That's definitely gonna get in
Yeah, so that's going to be a
doom zone.
range one shot. Oh, Tirani decides to
Oh,
roll on out of there,
spicy.
potentially clearing Torkoal's arc altogether. Well, the front gun arc anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have a one hard out of Boba. Even with the boost,
No.
I don't think he gets it this round. Nope. But there's only so long that Torkoal can run.
Yeah. He's just on borrowed time, man. Yep.
Oof. So yeah, there's
Uh.
that was the play we didn't see coming, and there's definitely bullseye going on here.
Oof.
Now Tirani's already used crack shot. Don't have to worry about that. Does mean that the focus won't be good for anything on defense other than to prevent an extra damage. So the only way out of this really is to take the barrel roll.
Yeah.
Over to the left.
Yep.
And then you probably exchange shots through the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you barrel roll forward, you might still be range 1, which would be in Fenn's favor.
No, that's not gonna be range 1.
You don't think so?
Nah.
No. Looks like Steven is still deciding what to do here. Ooh.
Oh man.
He's doing it.
Uh,
All right.
I mean, you've got to like it's all haymakers from this
It
point.
is.
Like you have to do so much to make this game yours. So why not be risky?
So
Like
Tirani,
everybody.
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say everybody knows the way that this game is going. So yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead. And do it.
do something to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Torkoal, I think the call is to put it on the executioner here because Torkoal plus Fenn's probably not going to kill
Hmm.
Tirani.
Yeah.
You'd have to do
Yeah.
8 damage here.
Yep. Yep.
But he's putting it on Tirani. So the range 1 from Fenn. The real question here is, does he roll enough eyeballs to tempt him to spend it? Oh, that's
That's
a
tempting.
tempt because Fearless converts the blank. He's got
Yep.
2 eyeballs to decide here. Now, in order to make that not an auto damage in return, he's got to kill Tirani. In order to do that, he has to do 8 damage. Oh, he spends. He spends. So
Mm.
that's potentially 5 of the 8 necessary damage. Oh, it's only 4. So that's the shield and 3 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And without the front gun on Torkoal, there's no way to finish that up. Because he's still
Yeah.
got 4 hulls, so he'd need 2 direct hits or the equivalent.
So
Boba's still being denied his prize. And then the Executioner, who has a lock from a previous round on Torkel, just gonna snuff him out.
maybe
Maybe.
not with that attitude.
All right, so a single hit, and he gets snuffed out.
Oh,
Mm,
oh,
it's so bad.
yeah. Uh, it's bad right now. It could be worse.
Man, I didn't even look at the crit on this one. That was terrible of me.
Mm.
It was worse than we ever imagined.
All right. Range 1 bullseye. Bad news bears.
Rolled 3 crits.
Oh, well.
Spins the lock, gets an extra hit.
Oh, God. Not enough.
No, not anywhere near enough. The 2
Oof.
crits and the extra damage, that's dead.
Yep. Wow. So Becker planting his foot firmly into Steven's back.
Ooh, that's rough.
That is
Well,
a devastating round of combat.
all right. Well,
Mm.
while I talk about how that affects standing in the leagues, why don't you go and see if our players will come for a post game interview?
All right, I will go ahead and do that.
So here we have the standings after 2 weeks of play. You can see our current match was played out of Conference 2. Again, the way that this league is structured is that over the course of 7 weeks, every player in a conference will play each other in a round robin structure. And then at the end of that, the player in each division that has the best score will be invited to the playoffs. So Becker, as we can see here, has got a solid third win under his belt. The first half of the season going really strongly for him, coming in hard after Connor Curry for the invitation for Division 2B.
Waiting on Charlie.
All right, got him in. Well, Ryan, congratulations.
Thanks. It feels dirty because it's boba.
I mean, if you've got the best tool in the shed, why don't you use it, right?
Especially against Steven. I knew he was going to bring something scary. So
Moderately scary.
So Stephen, condolences.
Yeah, shit happens. I should have run my first list that I had. The split between 2 lists today, and should have stuck with the boba list. But oh well.
Well, this
I,
this
I,
this at least was 2 different toolkits. So for stream purposes, this was better. I appreciate it.
well, that was what I was joking about with him at the start. We could have been running boba. Ugh. I could reroll. No, I can reroll, but I can reroll this one too.
So Stephen, we're looking back on the game. What do you think you would have done differently?
I mean, I should have measured their spacing initially, so they wouldn't bump on that first five straight barrel, five straight barrel.
Mhm.
So I should have actually like spaced them better there. Uh, I mean, outside of that, I don't know. If that spacing isn't there, then I'm not tempted into that awkward boost on Tarok, and I have more options facing up with Boba.
Mhm.
So it's not like a block for him. I still don't really expect Old T to just die to one shot like that, but
Yeah, that
the
initial approach
nice
from
magic happens.
that initial approach from Tarani, where he just lined everything up in his bullseye, was really terrifying.
That was good. I mean, I think the ultimate answer is I would have, if I really want to do something differently this game, I'd have just run different ones. Finral's 5-dice shot sounds really good, but second edition neutered him with no ability to double mod it, so it never actually lands, and it gets really old.
Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking of the bullseye shots from Tirani, that is probably the most instances of Tirani's ability going off in any game I've ever seen, Ryan. So, what's your secret? How do you visualize getting bullseye with this awkward medium base ship?
Well, I mean, it's tough. I've been flying the Kimagills a lot lately because I like that they have a lot of good matchups. Nothing great, but a lot that they can like weather higher initiative stuff, and against like lower initiative stuff, they can dish out some damage. But so I kind of got an idea on the spacing, but I just try to line him and the other guy up where one of them will hopefully have bullseye. Depending on how the map plays out. That just happened to be lucky because Steven's initial approach made him do that awkward sort of boost.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell that old T was, if he didn't bump, he really didn't have option but to be into Ronnie's bullseye. So I was kind of using Boba there to block him to make sure I set that up.
Mm-hmm.
And accepting that Boba wasn't going to get a good shot and was going to take Fen round to the side. And I got lucky that Fen's dice didn't play out in that exchange.
Yeah, that is the chance you take.
Yeah, because there were a couple of turns there where had Fenn's dice been hot, then Boba just would have melted in the first half of the game, and it would have been completely different.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And especially that first shot where Boba only had the back arc to Torkoal and Fen was right on the side. I was like, man, I'm going to eat 3 crits right here. They're all going to suck, and I'll just go home sad.
Yeah, that is
For
the
fighting
second
Boba.
edition I know about as well.
Is just the whole like, oh well, yeah, he gets all these rerolls, but it's only 2 green dice, so if you overwhelm it, proton torpedo or whatever. But Fenn did not proton torpedo himself, sadly.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
no, you go ahead.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, once again, thank you to both Steven and Ryan for coming on stream. Congratulations to Ryan for getting your 3rd win so far in this series. So setting up really well in your division. You've still got Connor sitting there looking to pick up his 3rd win this week as well. But good luck to both of you in the remainder of the series, and good night.
Thanks for having us and hosting,
yeah.
guys.
Thanks for having us on.